See, where I was born was on the main street, and they had a big parade. I think it was St. Patrick's Day parade. And my dad, at that time, was changing the stable he had over into a garage. So we had a hot dog stand out in front. Well, a hot dog in those days was really something, because it was hard to make a hot dog, but that was about the time they were first made. And I can remember hiding under the table in the front of the store as the fellows were dishing out the hot dog, and they handed me one down in underneath. I was sitting down underneath this big table all by myself, and I really enjoyed that. It was the first hot dog I'd ever had in my life.
And this girl, she was Catherine McGinnis. She was going on 16 when she got to Montreal. And she had a brother David who was younger and a much younger sister Grace. Now those two children were taken by people who were always at the docks to take orphans to make sure they were taken care of. But she had to get a job. So she was put on one of these boats coming up the river. And it was a slow journey. It took a long time because they didn't make much progress. I mean, there was no motors or anything, so, and they had no sails on those things. And well, she said she hated the freshwater fish.
Oh yes, they would have tasted muddy.
Yes, they were fresh. She said no, they weren't like the ones from the North Sea.
You used a refrigerator with ice, and in the winter, some local contractors would take their horses and saws and cut ice into blocks, 15 by 30 or 25 or so, and stack them in what was called the outhouses, which were small buildings, usually about 16 by 12 or something in that range, smaller than this, and stuffed filled with sawdust. And they'd shovel out the sawdust, put a layer of ice and shovel sawdust in, put another layer of ice and shovel sawdust on it. And that would last for the summer. And one of the tasks I did not appreciate was having to get ice. And you went and got ice. The only good part of it was when my uncle would decide he was going to make real ice cream. And he had one of the old wooden ice cream mixers. It was a wooden barrel and a metal container and a handle, and you put ice and salt around it, put the cream and all the stuff inside, and you sat and cranked it. I remember doing that. Oh. And the ice cream was good.
I bet.
When we could hear the dancing on Thursday nights from the canoe club. My cousin and I, let me tell you, when we got old enough, my mother would let us go, and every Thursday night we'd go over to the canoe club. There were several fellas on the island that their family, one was from New York, and they owned cottages, and we all were friends. So we would go as a group over to the canoe club dance on Thursday nights, and Dave Palmer was the fella that we used his boat. He drove us over, and another thing I would do, again, my mom didn't know it, and at that time I wouldn't think of telling her because I didn't think it was wrong, but I would sit on the bow of this doggone boat with my legs hanging. I'd take off my shoes and have my bare feet, and Dave would be running us across to the canoe club dock. Well, if I ever fell off, he would have run over me, but I never thought about it, And so the dance was held on the second floor where the theater is now, and it was a highlight of the summers to go Thursday nights to the Canoe Club dance.